All right, everybody. Good show on deck for you today. Me and Mr. Shaggy Von Doom. We will be discussing some pretty insane trades that were offered up by a Chicago Blackhawks website. They said, "Kyle, where are you going?" Kyle's going Antonio Brown. Kyle went full Antonio Brown. He's back. That didn't last too long. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for making this your first listen of the day. We are not going anywhere. We are not anti. I don't want to say that. We are opposites. There you go. Opposite Antonio Browns. So, all right.
No Uber needed.
No Uber necessary. Or fruit cup. Didn't he have a fruit cup in his hand?
Yeah.
I saw there was some,
that is the life.
There. Yeah, I know. Fruit cup and an Uber.
That's how we all want to quit.
That's how yeah, when we're done with this show, which hopefully is like never, that's how we will exit this show. Hailing an Uber, holding a fruit cup.
Telling you Happy New Year.
Yeah, saying Happy New Year. All right. Thank you for making this your first listen of the day. It's always appreciated. Follow the show on social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, opinions to lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow the show on our YouTube channel over on the YouTube. So, yeah, on today's episode, I had posted something a couple days ago. I think it was late last week.
Mm-hmm.
A Chicago Blackhawks website. I don't even remember what they're called. I got to bring them up again. Let's see. Da Windy City.
Mm-hmm.
DA. So you know they're cool. They put a and you see these often. Websites of another team will put out an article saying like, "Oh, here's some trade scenarios for our player with another team," and they did 3 with the Colorado Avalanche. And I screenshotted them, I posted them, and I don't make too many comments because I know the masses will take these and run with them. That's exactly what they did. If you don't follow the show on Twitter and Instagram, this will be news to you. If you do follow us on Twitter and Instagram, you're finally going to hear what these are and all of that rage that people had in their punching their keyboard or slamming their thumbs out on their smartphones. I think we'll get a lot of that anger out. But why do I guess that's a dumb question. I know why, because you have to drum up excitement and drum up eyes on phones and screens. But why are these always so one-sided, geared towards the team who's, in this case, this Blackhawk website? Why are they getting everything from the Avalanche and all they're giving up is Patrick Kane, which is the central piece of this article, by the way, is giving up Patrick Kane?
I think it's almost twofold at this point. Like those kind of articles, it's almost like the Paul Feinbaum effect. Like you just say something and you're intentionally riling people up and all publicity is good publicity. Like you can look at those trades and like there's no way that could possibly happen, but it gets people talking. So like I see that aspect of it. If it was something, and we'll get to it when it comes to these trade scenarios, when you go through them, could it be a possibility? Who knows? But if it was a little bit more logical, I think the keyboards would be a little bit quieter where you had to sit there and think about it just a little bit.
Right. These are, and like I said, we're going to go through these one at a time. There's 3 of them. There's one of them that's like almost on the verge of like, okay, we can talk a little bit more about this one. And we'll get to that one last. But I do like, there's a lot more that goes into just picking some players. And I kind of feel like a lot of these websites, and I don't want to like rip these guys or this guy that wrote this. I think, they probably do a good job over there of covering, because I think it's an SB Nation site. So, take that for what it is. But I don't put it out there for that person to get attacked. I kind of put it out there for a conversation piece, maybe even to get a laugh if it's kind of ridiculous. One of them definitely is. but I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to
Yeah.
drum up, readers and have eyes on, and they're going to gear it towards their team. They're not going to give up in these hypothetical trades. They're not going to give up a lot to get a little. It's going to be the other way around, and that's exactly what you see.
And see, I kind of like them in a way because here lately, the Avalanche have been winning and rolling and everything's felt great. But when you see these left field trade scenarios come up, or when Sam Girard was like a possibility to be traded earlier in the season, like it gets you thinking, like, what could we get?
Mhm.
Like it starts making, like, you start looking at the team instead of a cohesive unit, like pieces of value. And you start thinking, like, what could we get? And you start evaluating things that
Right.
way. So it gets that part of the brain going. And I like that. I like seeing how things could possibly happen. But in these scenarios, I don't know.
Now we're good.
We're good.
There we go. Yeah, had a little bit of technical difficulty. We had Miley Cyrus New Year's Day technical difficulties there.
They're coming after us, SB Nation. We're sorry.
Yeah. All right. So, and the other thing about this is like they don't get into like salary, and with Patrick Kane making $10.5 million and the Colorado Avalanche right up against the cap number more or less, if any of these deals were to go down, or any deal at all involving the Avalanche and Patrick Kane, the Blackhawks would have to retain salary, and none of that is discussed.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not going to go that deep into it, but you should if you're going to come up with these scenarios. So let's talk about them the way that they offered them. The very first one, a straight up 1-for-1 deal. Avs obviously get Patrick Kane. The Blackhawks get Bowen Byram. And I don't know, I even put this in the post, I don't understand why you see all of these mock trades, and almost every time Bowen Byram is involved in them.
Mm-hmm.
And Bowen Byram is not going anywhere. So if every single hockey website out there is listening to the show, which I know that they are, stop doing mock trades with Bowen Byram. He's not leaving the Colorado Avalanche, and he's not leaving for Patrick Kane, when those two scenarios and salaries are on complete opposite ends of the spectrums. The Avalanche cannot do that deal in any way, shape, or form for multiple reasons financially, and it's a dumb deal to give up your future likely star defenseman, if he can stay healthy, for Patrick Kane. Not going to happen.
Especially what that is, when you see Bowen Byram come up in these scenarios, they have in their mind, I wonder what we could get from the Avalanche. They Google Avalanche top prospects. Bowen Byram is number one. They're like, ooh, that's pretty cheap.
I'll take him. Right.
And his numbers aren't that great because they're not watching the games day in, day out like we are, and they don't know the health problems that he's been going through this year. No, and GMs are paying attention to this. So this would never happen because they're not going to take a gamble. The Avalanche are taking a gamble, seeing if he can make it through this season and his long-term, how that looks for Bowen Byram. So GMs aren't going to bite for that. It's just the trendy name and the first thing you Google when you look at cheap Avalanche deals.
Yeah, I think a lot of times when they do things like this, it's, the writer thinks that the Blackhawks are entitled to one of the Avalanche's top prospect because we're giving you Patrick Kane. So therefore, like, you're right. Like, I'm sure he knows who Bowen Byram is, but he could just go to every single team's prospects and look at number one and say, like, we're giving you Patrick Kane, so we deserve your number one prospect. It doesn't work that way. There's numbers, and there's numbers to be involved. And the Avalanche simply are not going to give up Bowen Byram, a 20-year-old. And how old is Kane? I know he's a little bit up there. He's 33 years old. This one was the most laughable one to me. The other two, I will have a discussion, but this one was just, and that was the first one thrown out there. And when I saw it, I'm like, oh, I have to keep reading now, because what are the next ones going to be? And the next ones, they are unlikely as well. But this one, just to start off with this, I was like, you're we're not even talking, right? I'm not even picking up the phone right now if that's what your ask is.
And I'm going to ruin the shine on what the Blackhawks are offering the Avalanche in all three of these scenarios when we get to these later scenarios 2 and 3, because I think Chicago is looking at this in red and black glasses right now, and they don't really see what they have on their hands.
That's true. That's true. And in all three of these scenarios, the only thing he has the Blackhawks giving up is Patrick Kane. There's nothing else.
I will address that soon.
Okay, all right. But first, let's hear from Primal Origin Oils, and then we'll get to the other two, and even more additional possible trades, which are not on here as well. But Primal Origin Oils, if you got a beard, you have to get Primal, and you heard that right. If you got beard, get Primal. If you or someone you care about has a beard, it needs to get Primal. Maybe you're that guy that has never considered the benefits of treating your beard with products. The Primal Origin Oils will stop the itch and make your beard look healthy and groomed. The products are free from harmful synthetic ingredients and with a low impact on our planet. Primal Origin Oils makes balms, oils, and whipped butter that are renowned as the best feel and beard products available. All products are fair trade certified and handcrafted in the USA. And the combo kits make a great gift any time of the year for holidays, for birthdays. What do we have? Valentine's Day. You can get a guy gift for Valentine's Day, right?
Oh, yeah.
Get a combo kit. So go over to primaloriginoils.com. Use the promo code locked on, and that will get you 20% off. Once again, the website is primaloriginoils.com. Promo code is locked on, and you get 20% off of your order. All right, as we continue with the trades from Da Windy City, hip to be square. All right, first one, gone. Not happening.
Nope.
Second one, Avalanche get Patrick Kane. Blackhawks get the 2023 first round pick, the 2022 third round pick, Andre Burakovsky, and Tyson Jost. I'm going to throw that over to you.
For Patrick Kane.
For Patrick Kane, yes.
Okay.
Just Patrick Kane.
Just wanted to clear that up, just for Patrick Kane. Okay.
Yeah.
Jost, who is arguably could possibly be coming up. Like he's starting to, the past year or so, he's started to kind of find his role, what he's doing. Berkey, we all know, he has one incredible game a month, but still the draft picks. Now, if it would have been just Berkey Jost for Patty Kane, maybe.
I mean, again, that's something where you're having a discussion, because for the Avalanche, a lot of it is going to be numbers, and not only for this year, for next year, and for everything is revolving around the Nathan MacKinnon contract. So that is after next year, and yeah, Burakovsky is an unrestricted free agent. Tyson Jost has this year and next year, and then he's another restricted. And then in the next deal, which we'll discuss in a second, that comes into play. If you feel like you can't re-sign some of these guys, then yeah, you would make a deal. And Kane has 2 more years on his?
I believe so.
This year and next year. So Kane's deal would be gone the same year that McKinnon's deal is gone, and in the same year that Eric Johnson's is gone. So Kane's deal wouldn't affect the Avalanche when it's come time for Nathan MacKinnon. But yeah, you got to play this game, and you have to really ask yourself, what are we willing to give Burakovsky in the offseason? If he's going to want more than he's making right now, maybe they cut loose with him. So I'm not saying that, and I agree with you that this deal wouldn't happen because of the picks. They don't have a 2022 first round pick because they gave that up in the what deal? Oh, the
Devon Tays?
No, the Arizona deal.
Oh, Kemper.
With Kemper. So they gave that up. They don't have a second round pick. They don't have a fourth round pick. You give up a 3rd round pick. You don't have a pick until the 5th round in the 2022 draft. You're not doing that. And then on top of it, you would be giving up next year's 1st round pick.
Yeah.
That is draft suicide for the Avalanche. Like, they're not doing that deal simply because of the draft picks. And like you said, if they want Burakovsky and Jost, you also need to keep money on Kane's end. I don't know if I would remove the draft picks. Remove the draft picks. Would you do that? Burakovsky, Jost for Kane. I know. Like, I'm leaning towards no, because the only reason I'm leaning towards no is because the Avalanche are playing well.
I will say, let's put this one on the table. Talk about number 3.
Okay.
And then this one, just Berkey Jost for Patty Kane. Put it on the table. You have my interest. Let me hear what's behind door number 3.
All right. The last one, Avalanche get Patrick Kane. Blackhawks get the 2023 1st rounder again. Then they get Nazem Kadri, Val Nichushkin, and Shane Bowers. And this comes into play again with unrestricted free agents. Both Kadri and Nichushkin are unrestricteds, right? Nichushkin is. I know he is. I know Kadri is. And Nichushkin, both of them are unrestricteds. Will you feel the need to unload them because they will count too much against your cap for next year? The Avalanche are not going to be able to sign all of these guys. They're not going to be able to sign all of Kadri, Nichushkin, Burakovsky. Who else do they have on this front line here? Darren Helm. And they also, Jack Johnson is a free agent. Curtis McDermott, who's going to command $8-9 million a year next year.
Probably.
They got Darcy Kemper. You got Pavel Francouz. So there is a ton. You're not going to be able to sign it. So you have to evaluate, who are we keeping on the forwards? And if you feel like you can't bring all those guys back, then you would include them in a deal. I wouldn't be against that, because you're getting Patrick Kane, which, some people don't really like some of his decision making. Yeah, you're pointing to yourself. I get that. So tell me about this deal. Why is this a no for you?
This is another one that you would have to alter just a little bit. Take Nas out of it. If you give up Nuke, Bowers, and a pick, you have my interest.
I'm still not giving up a 1st round pick, man. I don't want to do that just because I don't have one in 2022.
But again, all of these I would not address at all, because I don't think Patrick Kane is what the Avalanche need.
Right. That's the other question. And that's why I'm saying, like, if the Avs were struggling, okay, then we're fair game. But the way that they're playing right now, I don't see there's no real need to bring him in. Hockey wise, would he help you? You would like, based on his history, yeah, but he's kind of struggling this year. Where's his stats? I say struggling, and I think he's leading their team in goals, or not in goals, in points. So he's got 7 goals, 19 assists, 26 points in 28 games. That's fine. You know what I mean? For someone who's not expected to come in, if they got him, they expected to come in and be a first line guy, like, whatever. I'm not going to argue about what he could bring to the team. I'm more arguing what they would give up. And right now, that's why I don't make a splash move like this. I don't make a move for a big name, because I don't think you need that right now.
No,
everything is fine.
This is the same thing we were talking about a couple weeks ago, I think, with DeBrusk. The same. We're not name chasing at this point. If we make a move like this, it's got to be mutually beneficial.
Yeah.
Because we have all these contracts coming up. We're not going to give away somebody that we later on down the road would rather sign. We're burnt with Ryan O'Reilly, watching him carry a cup. Paul Stastny, he's still doing good.
Sure. Yeah.
So we've been burned letting people walk, thinking we could do better. And in trade situations like this, and I'm one of those that Patty Kane, I don't want to see him in an Avalanche sweater because of everything surrounding him. I cannot get behind it. And that's one of those, we've talked about that before as well. People in an Avalanche jersey, would you cheer for? I would have serious problems with Patty Kane.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would. A lot of people would. I don't know. I don't see. I think and this was another question I asked when the Vegas Golden Knights made the move for Jack Eichel.
Mm-hmm.
Is this going to force the hand of the Avalanche to, like you said, chase a name? You got to follow up the Golden Knights getting a name with you getting a name. Well, Patrick Kane is a name, but where does he fit in with the team? That would depend on what you're giving up. And if you're giving up Kadri and Nichushkin, that's two of your guys on the second line. All right, now you have Kane and Burakovsky, who's filling in on that second line now. Sure, you could put O'Connor. I mean, that's all stuff that you have to plug in. But you're giving up Kadri and you're giving up Nichushkin, two guys that you rely heavily on a second line. You're giving up two second line guys for one. I don't like that.
Nope.
I don't like that. Especially, like I said, this all boils down to right here and now how the Avalanche are playing. I think we're all happy with how they're playing. I think a lot of people would have a knee-jerk reaction if this was in November when the Avs were struggling a little bit. Oh, make the move. Make a move. We need something to fire the team up. That would have just been, jumping the gun, which I wouldn't have done.
And if you go to the Instagram page and look at these deals or the Twitter and see how these are constructed, just look at those draft picks as ELCs. And we keep talking about the contracts. Like, we're looking at leaguemen ELCs right here. Like, if we're having to sign all these deals, we're going to be tight again. Yeah. And we're going to be tight for a couple more years. So you're giving away a potential Band-Aid to get us through a season. So none of these deals make sense.
Yeah. And you would have them for next year, but I don't know how serious the Blackhawks are of really moving him, because they do have another year left. So there's no rush to do it. If they're going to do it, it's going to be, trade deadline next year.
Yeah.
But we also want to talk about another deal, which is kind of getting through. This is not, so that's those three deals. Those are done.
Mm-hmm.
I think the last two would be conversation starters. The first one is a non-starter.
Yeah.
But the second two we'll continue a discussion, might lead to nothing. You hear a lot in Avalanche land from fans of maybe making a deal for Marc-Andre Fleury. And I think the Avs are always willing to look into goalies and shore up some goalie situations that they had over the past couple of years. Is that something that could happen? You think they would look into Fleury?
If this season didn't start and you didn't see the Marc-Andre Fleury who's out there right now, it would sound a lot better. Right now, it would feel like this is like a JoJo situation. Like he's not good this year. Marc-Andre Fleury, he initially was on the fence about retiring.
He was.
And I think he's mentally retired. I think he's just kind of going through the motions. And if you're making a move for a goalie, I don't think Marc-Andre Fleury is the name the Avalanche should go after right now.
Well, he's starting to. I mean, the team as a whole is starting to play better. And having said that, they've lost 4 in a row. But they're the last 2 games out of the pause, they only scored 1 goal. That's their problem. Is goal scoring, and we're kind of like combining talking about Fleury and the game tonight against the Blackhawks. Alex DeBrincat leads them in goals by a country mile, and he has 18 goals on the season. He's the only one in double digits.
Yeah.
The next one down has 8 in Brandon Hagel, and then Kane has 7, Kubalik has 6, Doc has 5, bunch of guys have 3. Compared that to the Avalanche roster, you know how many guys have 10 goals on the Avalanche team?
There has to be at least double digit scorers.
There's 6 10 goal at least 10 goals. Rantanen, McCarr, Burakovsky, Kadri, Landeskog, and Nichushkin. And then
I bet you that changes after the Chicago game.
Well, you got a little bit, because you got O'Connor, Comfort, and Newhook all with 6. But that's just their problem is they're struggling to score. And Fleury did not get off to a good start this year.
No.
But again, is this kind of the same situation that would be bringing in a Patrick Kane? He's a guy, he's more than on the downside of his career. He might be done after this year. Kane, 33. Who knows how many more years he has left? You're bringing in a name, but at the rate that Fleury is at right now, would that be good for? I mean, he's in a backup role. I don't
Is
think that would be
it,
horrible.
we asked yesterday. We're stacking everything else in a backup role against Pavel Francouz because that's what we're looking at here. Is he better than Pavel Francouz? We don't
Right
know.
now? Oh, yeah, that's true. We don't know. I mean, you would have to say yes. I mean, you'd have to. Because you don't know. Francouz hasn't played in like 17 years. And, Fleury is the reigning Vezina. I know that doesn't mean anything at this stage in this season, but he has that pedigree. He does. And bringing in him for a backup role, and Kemper is the A1. I think that's horrible. Now you are looking at what's he make? 6 million, 7 million. Again, this is why the Avs are going to struggle to make splash moves. They don't have the cap room. So you have to get these teams to save and retain salary cap. And sometimes they might not want to do that.
At this point in Flowers' career, it almost feels like Marc-Andre Fleury is Minnesota Vikings Brett Favre.
Ooh, that's a bad look.
That's just
I could never get used to that.
I feel like we would be like the Jets in that whole thing, like where he was like for the Jets for a cup of coffee. Like I don't want Marc-Andre Fleury's like last stint to be with the Avalanche. And what would that take away from Kemper and the confidence he's already built up? Bringing in like, what does that tell you? Hey, we bringing in former Vezina winner Marc-Andre Fleury. You keep doing your thing, Darcy. Like,
but you know what he would say. He watching Kemper in his press conference, he would say all the right things. You get an opportunity to bring someone like that in, and that only makes our team better. He would say all the right things. I don't think he would feel threatened by Fleury.
But when he's holding the door,
that
could get in your mind.
It could. I mean, if you have a bad game, and then he goes in and shuts the other team down, and then the Avalanche come back to win, that's a blow to your ego, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think the numbers work out. I don't think this is going to happen simply because of that. If they did, if somehow the Avalanche could make the numbers work, I would not be against it. I would not be against bringing him in, kind of like in a advisory role, more or less, in a backup role, and that would just make you a dangerous playoff team.
It would, and that makes all the sense in the world. I don't know with that money and if what we're going to be getting. I'd hate to make a move and trade away somebody that we're going to end up regretting, and then it's going to be more of the same of Marc-Andre Fleury, and he's just going to give up and walk out the door.
Well, that's a good question. Like these three scenarios that we've just been talking about, they want predominant Avalanche players right now. And then the only prospect outside of Bowen Byram was Shane Bowers, who hasn't shown much anything yet. I mean, he still has that potential. What would the asking price be? I mean, you're not getting a first round pick for Fleury.
No.
You might want that third round pick, but you're going to want prospects probably. If they wanted Bowers or something, Bowers in a third.
This is how you do it. It's not going to be nice. If we have to do this deal.
All right. Rip the Band-Aid off. Do it.
You're going to have to go McDermott, Shane Bowers, Pavel Francouz.
For Fleury? And retaining salary?
Mm-hmm.
I'm signing that right now. I am signing that right now. Without a doubt.
I mean, it's
and not 2 contracts and draft picks. I would do that in a second.
I know that's the reason I had to construct it that way. I did not want picks touched.
Yeah. I would definitely do that. All right. Well, Avs and Blackhawks, they will face off. Avs are second game back. This will be the third game back, I think, unless they're playing as we're recording this. I don't think they are. The Blackhawks. Just check really quick. No.
Nope.
One game on the schedule today. Rangers over the Oilers. Feeling pretty good about this one. Even though you're on the road in Chicago, I think the Avs are Excited to be back on the ice. Obviously, I think that rust is gone, and I think you're going to see a hopped up team on the ice tonight, I should say.
Yeah, and if you feel like we were wrong in our assessments of Patty Kane or Marc-Andre Fleury, let us know.
I think the consensus was no, they don't want him. There were some people who were like, that second deal, that third deal, I would read it. I would look into that. And I'm kind of with them. I'd have a conversation. Not to say that it would get done. That doesn't mean I would do it. But the first one, I'm laughing and hanging up the phone while I'm laughing. The other two, it's like, all right, that's a starting point. Let's keep talking.
Yeah.
But I think it would be like 95% to 5% of people who are like, I don't want Patrick Kane at all for a number of reasons. And we kind of touched on them for those reasons today. So that is going to be it for today. We will be back tomorrow talking about the Avs and Blackhawks game. And thank you for making this your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. Go check out Locked On NHL to make that your second listen. Get caught up on everything going on around the league. All right, sir, that's going to wrap it up. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast, and we will see you guys tomorrow.